how to pronounce this woman's name before I started recording my video. Well, I can see I'm gonna have to edit this video down. Hi everyone, it's me, Jess, and I am coming at you on this lovely Sunday afternoon with my June TBR. Are you ready? No, June TBR, July TBR. Oh, where is the summer going, everybody? I was gonna do a summer TBR, but it got a little overwhelming. So this is my July TBR. My goals this summer are big. I want to take advantage of the more free time that I have because I'm not teaching classes, despite the fact that I have to prep my classes for the fall semester and figure out a new class, which I've never taught before, which will be fun. It'll be fun. So it's not like I'm not working, but I am working less and I have a little bit of extra sort of me time, I guess, and I'm going to be going away. And I'm going to try to get some good reading in. So officially the first day of summer is June 21st. And I am trying to get ahead of my schedule for my YouTube content. So today I'm going to give you my TBR for July. And then hopefully in the next week I'll also be reviewing some of the books that I read over the last couple of months that I really enjoyed. And some that were so. Can't love them all, right? So let's talk books. Okay, so let's get into this. The first one is a book that I found. I found this copy used, and I got really excited because I'd heard of Mona Awad. She's a Canadian writer, and this book, 13 Ways of Looking at a Fat Girl, are a series of essays or short stories, I believe, that are based on her own personal experiences. And she has a book coming out at the beginning of August, which I'd be curious to read. The title is All's Well. And she has another book, which I think has some infamy, called Bunny, which I haven't read either. So I don't know, when I saw this in the used bookstore, I grabbed it and I thought it would be a really good place for me to start with her. And like I said, I think it's based on her personal experiences, and it's very insightful and funny, and I'm really looking forward to reading some more of her work because I've heard nothing but good things. This one was shortlisted for the Scotiabank Giller Prize, which is a Canadian writing prize that's very prestigious here in Canada. So that's my first one on my TBR for July. Yes, it's going to be July. Oh, so sad, right? Let's see. How do we pronounce this? It's Danish, so I'm not sure. And I don't want to butcher it. I don't want to be that person. As a teacher, I always try to pronounce names correctly. You know? Let's see. Pronunciation. Tove Ditlevsen. Oh, Tove Ditlevsen. Okay, so this really caught my interest because there was a lot of talk about this. It's a memoir, and actually, so she's Danish. She's from Denmark, and I think that each of these came out as separate books, I guess. Childhood, Youth, and Dependency. And dependency is the translation of the word gift, which in Danish I think it means like it means marriage and poison. I don't know where I read that. Yeah, that's what I read. So anyhow, it's a memoir. It describes her journey through these different phases of life. And it got a lot of attention. I think it was on the list for the International Booker Prize, and yeah, it caught my attention and I wanted to pick it up because I'd heard so many good things about it. Overdosing by, like, it was a suicide by overdose, and I don't know. I just, it seemed interesting to me. It's gotten a lot of attention and I was curious about it. So that's on my list for July as well. I'll report back to you guys. I promise this time I will be reporting back on books. I haven't been doing that in a while, but I will be. And I have a massive pile for July as well, by the way. I have 10 books. I've read 36 books so far this year. And I have a couple of more that I'm reading that I'm hoping to finish. I'll talk about one of them actually today. And yeah, I never thought that I could have 100 books as a goal for the year, but I am sort of considering the possibility of maybe trying to read 100 books. I mean, it's good to have goals. My original goal for this year was to read 25 books, and like I've surpassed it. So now I'm thinking, oh, I could read so much. Anyhow, let's just tone it down a little bit, Jessica. Like, take a minute, all right? But it's good to have goals, right? The other one that's on my list for July is, and it's kind of funny because I'm not finished the first one that I started reading by her, but I decided that I'm enjoying it so much that I want to kind of keep on reading her books. So the book I'm referring to, and it was on one of my haul videos. I'll link it. I forget the link goes over there. So I'll link the video for where I talked about this in the haul video. So Anne Radcliffe is, I guess, a classics writer that I had not heard about, and I was gifted her book, The Italian, which I also talk about in another TBR, which I am... I mean, it's slow. I am making my way. I'm on page 240 out of almost 400 pages, and the writing is like, in this one it's like, wow, it's so small. Can you see how small? I'm holding it close, but it's like, it's quite densely written, I guess just because of its time. But it moves. Like, the plot is really good on the in this story, and it's very gothic. It's like gothic romance. That's her thing. So The Italian is my first Anne Radcliffe, and I will do a wrap-up that includes The Italian when I finish. I'm hoping to finish it by the end of this month. And then I'm going to read The Romance of the Forest. Like I said, this was her most popular. I don't know if it was her first, but it was like her first major popular success. I don't know if it was really the first one that she wrote, but it was her first popular success. And it's described as being a gothic novel with a fairy tale ending. So for me, that's like very, very, very good. That will draw me in. I think that the main character, all that I really know about the story of this is that the main character is an orphan, and she's trying to get away from where she's running away from where she came from because her life is in danger. And I know that she ends up like in an abbey or a monastery. So abbeys and monasteries and religion seems to be a prominent part of her writing. The like landscape and description of landscape, the church, romance, and yeah, those are sort of seem to be the main themes. And then a lot of like kind of gothic because it's very dark. It's got a very dark kind of underbelly to it. At least that's what I'm experiencing with The Italian, so I'm hoping that will be the case for The Romance of the Forest. So I am really looking forward to reading this one, and it is a little bit shorter than The Italian. I maybe might have been better off to start with this one and then read The Italian, but either way, I'm pleased to have found a classics writer that really has captured my attention and my imagination. Next up is Severance by Ling Ma. People have been reading and talking about this, and it piqued my curiosity. She's a Chinese author, and the basic description of this is the question: is it the end of the world or just another day at the office? So this is a book very appropriate for what we've all experienced over the last 18 months with the pandemic. It's a book about a fever, forget the name of the fever, but a Chinese fever that like people are getting sick from this fever and dying, and that's kind of all I know. And obviously she works in an office. The main character I think is female and works in an office, kind of the end of the world, but also like continuing on with your job and your responsibilities. And I think, I don't know. I have a tendency to want to keep things sort of mysterious. And this one, I like the idea of keeping it mysterious because it's about kind of this, end of the world kind of plague. And I don't really need to know much more than that, then that'd be enough for me to kind of jump into it. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. It's gotten a lot of attention online and people have been saying really positive things about it. So I'm looking forward to that. So you think that'd be enough, right? You think that'd be good enough for me. But no, I still have like 6 more. Okay, so next up is, I think, going to be a pretty quick read for me. It's called Reconstructing Amelia. It's by Kimberly McCreight, and I had picked up Kimberly McCreight's A Good Marriage at my local kind of Goodwill store. It's called the Renaissance Prix, and it was a very quick kind of, page turner mystery. On the front of this book it says, author of Reconstructing. Can you see that? Oh, the glare. Of Reconstructing Amelia. Anyway, so I thought, oh, well, I'll try to read that one. And funnily enough, in my same Goodwill store, there it was, Reconstructing Amelia, just screaming at me, saying, hey, I'm here. I'm $2.75. Pick me up. So I picked it up, and yeah, I think I'm going to read it because I like to be, at the same time as I'm reading classics or more kind of intense books or more serious books, a classic. I like to have several books going kind of at the same time. So I figure it'd be nice to have a mystery. This one is about a mother who gets called to her daughter Amelia's school because she was cheating, and then the call goes from like you have to come in because your daughter was cheating to you have to come in because your daughter jumped off the roof and committed suicide. And that's kind of the starting point. And then she gets a text from someone saying that Amelia didn't actually jump off the roof. So that's the starting point. That's as much as I know, and that's as much as I want to know. And then from there, I guess we find out what really happens to Amelia. So very much looking forward to that. I think it will be a quick, fun summer mystery read. So this has been, this is a book that is one that I wanted to go back to, and so it's going to be a reread for me. I read it in high school. I read it in my senior year of high school, and I have to say I was completely like blown away, as most people are, by this classic. And I just wanted to revisit it and read it again because I know how much how much of an impression it made on me when I was in high school, and I just wanted to experience that again, I think, because I don't totally remember it. So it's the picture of Dorian Gray, and the premise of this book is that Dorian Gray is the main character. He has his portrait painted, and decides that he wants to have the portrait age rather than him aging, and it explores the idea of beauty and the idea of getting old and ugly, and people's fear about that. It says Wilde's cautionary tale, published in 1891, describes how every sin that Dorian commits is reflected in the portrait. The painting is banished to his attic, where the image finally becomes so loathsome that Dorian tries to destroy it. So I'm really looking forward to rereading The Picture of Dorian Gray and trying to decide if it's my favorite classic, like most people's, or if my favorite classic is still Wuthering Heights. And do we have to have favorites? I don't think we have to have favorites. I think we can have more than one classic that we adore, right? Would you agree? Tell me in the comments below. Okay, Burnt Sugar is still on my list, and I haven't gotten into it yet. Not for any reason, just that I've been reading other things, and I do want to get to it. It's about the fraught relationship between a mother and daughter. The mother has dementia, and the daughter finds herself caring for the mother. I confessed in another video where I talked about this book that my mom suffers from cognitive decline. Actually, both of my parents are experiencing cognitive decline, and I'm taking care of both of them. So I thought this would be kind of therapeutic for me to read. Might also be really upsetting. I don't know. We'll find out. So, but I am definitely going to try to read this for July, because it was one of my goals to read it in the months of June and July, and I haven't gotten to it yet. So looking forward to that. I'm sure people are like, you're looking forward to that? That sounds like not necessarily something to look forward to, but I do think that it will be an interesting read nonetheless. So, also July is it's Jane Austen July, so of course I have to read a Jane Austen. The only book by Jane Austen that I've ever read is Sense and Sensibility, and it was just meh for me. And I realized that Sense and Sensibility isn't like the best book to begin with Jane Austen. So now I kind of went back and decided, okay, well, should I read Pride and Prejudice, or should I... no, I kind of looked at her other books, and rather than going Pride and Prejudice, which I think is sort of similar to Sense and Sensibility, I decided to read Northanger Abbey. And yeah, it's a shorter one, and I think it's going to be fun because it's like, I think it's her first novel. The back reads the most youthful and optimistic of Jane Austen's novels. Northanger Abbey tells the story of naive, charming Catherine Morland, who is obsessed with reading Gothic romance and horror. I didn't even have to read the rest of the back of that book because I was like, oh, she's like me. I mean, I don't read a ton of horror, but I definitely like I'm getting into these Anne Radcliffe Gothic romances. So anyway, I'm going to read that for my Jane Austen pick for Jane Austen July. And then I have 2 more books still, which I really hope I can get to. It may mean that I have to push them into August, but I really want to get to them. One that got a lot of attention last year, in which I'm just coming to the sort of catch up with the attention that this book had been getting, is Such a Fun Age. So I think most people will know about this book, but just in case you don't know about this book, Such a Fun Age, I think it came out at the end of 2019. I think it'll be a really interesting read. It's set in the US. I don't know if it's set in Philadelphia or New York. I think maybe Philadelphia. But this part of the story that I know about is that there's a babysitter who's taking the child who's in their charge to kind of a boho grocery store, is accused of kidnapping the kid. I'm not sure what the circumstances around that might possibly be, but I'm looking forward to finding out. And of course, the issue is that the kid is white and the babysitter is a person of color, and therefore I think black. I would assume black. I don't know. And then so it's a racist incident, and then I think that's the central part of the story. And then I don't know much about the rest of it. So, but that's enough, I think, and also just from all of the recommendations. I didn't get to this book. It was on my list for June, Pride Month. The book is Detransition, Baby. I don't think I need to say very much about it because so many people have talked about this book. It was long listed for the Women's Prize for Fiction, and it's written by a trans woman, Torrey, and I've heard it's chaotic, messy, and amazing. So I would really look forward to reading this, and looking forward to reading something that's written by a trans woman, so that, you know, I can get some insight into the experience of trans people. I think that there's quite a bit of that packed into this novel, so I'm really looking forward to reading it. And yeah, I think it's a good story as well from what I hear. It involves a baby, hence the detransition baby, and who's going to raise the baby, and that's kind of all I know. And I think that one of the characters did detransition. Anyhow, I don't really know too much more than that, but I was sold the topic was about a trans experience, so I'm excited to read this one. So that's the end of my presentation of my July TBR. I really hope I do get to all of these books, and I'm hoping I have 10 there, and I have 10 that I'm going to line up for August, although I think August might be a little bit more challenging because I go back to work in the middle of August, so I don't actually have all that much time to myself. I mean, it's nice to have, people always say, oh, you know, you're a teacher, oh, how is it to have the summers off? I mean, I basically need the summer to really sleep, to recover, and to get my bearings and gather my energy for the fall semester. So I know that that might sound a little bit whiny, and I know that people kind of accuse teachers of being very whiny, but the reality is that teachers do work really hard during the semester. And even though we do have time off in the summer, we kind of need it in order to keep going. Most of the people in my profession are burnt out, or they burn out, or they're burning out, or they're working and they're working in conditions where they're always concerned they're going to be burnt out or burn out, and they don't want to let their students down, and they don't want to let their communities down. So I think, I'm taking my time. I'm going to take my time and not do too much work this month, but I am definitely going to have to go back to work in the middle of August. So we'll see what happens. Anyhow, thank you so much if you stuck with me through the whole video. It's really nice to get back on and talk about books. If you've read any of the books that I'm hoping to get to for the month of July, please let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up. If you don't like this video, maybe give it to yourself. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye! And I got this really nice, what's the name of this? English Library Classics, is that what they're called? Ooh, why can't I remember that? Anyway, this version of it, and yeah, don't remind me what they're called. Sorry, there's noise outside of me. There's always noise. I live in a city. There's always noise. There's always people making noise, talking, lively street activity. No construction, so that's good. But last night, there was all this noise on my street, and it was making it hard for me to sleep. I had to turn my fan on to make some white noise. It was just, I had a moment where I was like, do I really want to be living in the city?